She told them to stay out. They didn't listen, so she made sure they'd never try again. Maya Carter had worked too hard for what she had. At 42, she was proud of her success, proud of her independence, and most of all, proud of the home she had built for herself. A beautiful 2-story house in Chandler, Arizona, complete with a backyard that was her personal retreat. Palm trees lined the fence, offering a sense of privacy. And in the center of it all was her pride and joy, a crystal clear, perfectly maintained pool. She wasn't the type to show off, but she had every reason to feel accomplished. She had bought the house on her own, no handouts, no shortcuts, just years of grinding, saving, and making smart choices. Unlike some of her neighbors, she didn't care about being the most liked person on the block. She wasn't looking to join community barbecues or make small talk over the mailbox. She just wanted one thing: peace. But peace doesn't last long when people think what's yours should be theirs. As Maya pulled into her driveway, she immediately sensed something was off. The air was still, thick with the lingering heat of the Arizona sun. But something felt wrong. Her eyes landed on the side gate. It was shut, just as she had left it. But something about it made her pause. A strange, uneasy feeling crept up her spine. She grabbed her bags from the car and made her way toward the backyard, her fingers tightening around her keys. The moment she stepped through the gate, her stomach dropped. Wet footprints. They trailed from the edge of the pool to the gate, small and scattered, some fading under the scorching sun. Her gaze swept across the yard, taking in the details. The pool float wasn't where she had left it. A half-empty soda can sat on her lounge chair. And worst of all, the water level in her pristine pool was visibly lower. Someone had been here. Her grip on the bags tightened. Maya took a slow breath, forcing herself to stay calm. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe a kid had jumped the fence on a dare and panicked when they got caught. Maybe it was just a one-time thing. But the towel draped over her fence told her otherwise. It wasn't hers. It was damp, heavy, thrown carelessly like an afterthought. Whoever had been here didn't just take a quick dip and run. They had made themselves comfortable. Maya clenched her jaw and stormed back through the gate. She needed answers. She started with her next-door neighbors, the Robinsons, an older couple who were friendly but kept to themselves. Mrs. Robinson opened the door with a warm smile. But as soon as Maya explained what she had found, her expression shifted to one of mild concern. "Oh dear," Mrs. Robinson sighed, adjusting her glasses. "You know how kids are. They probably just got curious." Maya frowned. "Do you know whose kids they might be?" Mrs. Robinson shook her head. "I wouldn't know, but if it were me, I'd just let it slide. No harm done, right?" Maya forced a tight smile. No harm done? Someone had trespassed onto her property, used her pool, and left their trash behind. But she bit back the frustration bubbling in her chest and thanked Mrs. Robinson before moving on to the next house. A younger woman, Beth, opened the door this time. She had 2 kids of her own, both under 10, and was the type to be overly polite. "Oh, that's awful," Beth said sympathetically when Maya told her what happened. "But honestly, it's probably just some of the neighborhood kids. It's been ridiculously hot, and well, you do have a really nice pool." Maya blinked. Excuse me?" Beth laughed awkwardly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I just mean, I'm sure they weren't trying to cause trouble. Kids don't really think about things like property lines. They just see water and jump in." Maya's lips pressed into a thin line. Was she really expected to accept that? To shrug it off just because some kids felt entitled to something that wasn't theirs? Instead of arguing, she simply nodded and walked away. For the next few days, Maya kept a closer eye on her backyard. She double-checked the locks on the gate, made sure to put away anything that could be tempting, and even started coming home earlier than usual. At first, nothing happened. And then, one evening, as she sat in her living room flipping through a magazine, she heard it splash. Maya froze. At first, she thought she imagined it. But then came the unmistakable sound of laughter. Her blood ran cold. She sprang from the couch and marched toward the back door. The second she stepped outside, her eyes landed on them. A boy, maybe 14, was floating in her pool, arms spread like he owned the place. A younger girl, likely his sister, sat at the edge, dipping her feet in the water. Maya saw red. "What the hell are you doing?" she snapped. The reaction was instant. The boy flailed, splashing water everywhere as he scrambled to get out. The girl gasped, eyes wide with terror. I thought," the boy stammered, wrapping a towel around himself. "We didn't think you'd mind." "You didn't think to ask?" Maya shot back, hands on her hips. The girl mumbled something about living 2 houses down. And then, before Maya could say another word, they bolted, barefoot, dripping water across her patio, and disappearing through the side gate. Maya stood there, fists clenched. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't just kids being kids. This was trespassing, and she wasn't letting it go. The next morning, Maya walked 2 houses down and knocked firmly on the door. It swung open to reveal Karen Miller, blonde, tanned, and already exasperated before Maya even said a word. Maya didn't waste time. "Your kids were in my pool last night." Karen blinked, then let out a short laugh. "Oh my God, seriously? They told me they went swimming. But I thought they meant at the community pool." Maya's jaw tightened. "No, they were in my pool. Without permission." Karen crossed her arms. "Well, they're kids. It's hot. What's the big deal?" Maya felt her patience slipping. "The big deal is that it's my property. I didn't invite them. They had no right to be there." Karen rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. They weren't hurting anything." Before Maya could respond, a deeper voice chimed in. Todd Miller, Karen's husband, stepped into the doorway, arms crossed. "You're making a big fuss over nothing," he muttered. Maya turned to him sharply. "Nothing? I work hard to maintain my home. And I won't have random people helping themselves to it. Would you be okay if someone walked into your backyard and made themselves at home?" Todd scoffed. "You're being dramatic." Dramatic. Maya had heard that word before. It was the word people used when they didn't want to take responsibility for their actions. When they wanted to minimize the fact that they had crossed a line. Maya took a step back, nodding slowly. "All right, I see where this is going." Karen sighed, waving her hand dismissively. "Look, we'll tell them not to do it again. Okay? But it's not like they stole anything." No, they hadn't stolen anything. Not in the traditional sense. But they had stolen her privacy, her peace of mind, and any illusion she had that her neighbors would do the right thing. Maya turned on her heel. She wasn't wasting another second arguing with these people. If respect wasn't going to stop them, something else would. That afternoon, Maya went straight to a security store and bought cameras. High quality, motion-activated ones that would alert her the second someone stepped foot in her yard. She installed them herself, angling them just right so they covered the pool, the fence, and the gate. If they came back, she'd have proof. And when she had proof, she wouldn't bother knocking on doors. She'd go straight to the police. Maya wasn't playing anymore. For 2 weeks, Maya's backyard remained untouched. No more wet footprints. No more scattered soda cans. No more unwelcome visitors making themselves at home in her pool. The security cameras had done their job, at least. For a little while, every time her phone pinged with a motion alert, she would check the footage, only to find nothing but the gentle sway of palm trees or the occasional stray cat slinking along the fence. It was quiet, almost too quiet. Maya wanted to believe the problem had resolved itself. That maybe, just maybe, her firm stance had sent a clear message. But a nagging feeling deep in her gut told her otherwise. She was right. It was a Saturday afternoon when it happened. Maya had spent the morning running errands, her mind occupied with a long to-do list. Groceries, dry cleaning, a stop at the hardware store to pick up some new LED lights for the backyard. She wasn't gone more than 2 hours. But as she pulled into her driveway, she noticed something strange. The side gate, the one she always kept locked, was ajar. Her stomach tightened. Maya killed the engine and stepped out, her pulse quickening as she made her way around the house. The sound hit her before she even saw it. Laughter, music, the unmistakable clinking of glass bottles. She rounded the corner and froze. Her backyard was packed, not just with kids, but with adults. Lounge chairs were taken over. Beer bottles littered the ground. And a group of women stood waist deep in her pool, chatting like they were at some high-end resort. A folding table had been set up by the fence, covered in snacks and drinks that no one had bothered to bring in themselves. For a brief second, Maya thought she had lost her mind. Was this real? Had she actually stepped into her own backyard? Or had she just wandered into a stranger's house? And then, amidst the chaos, her eyes landed on Lisa Monroe. Lisa, who lived 3 houses down but had never spoken to Maya before, waved casually, holding a plastic cup in one hand as if this were some kind of casual neighborhood gathering. "Oh, hey, girl, hope you don't mind," she called out over the music. "It was so hot today. We figured we'd cool off." Maya's jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Mind? Oh, she minded. Her voice came out sharp and steady. "Every single one of you, get out, now." A few people froze. Others exchanged looks, as if she were the one overreacting. Lisa scoffed, flipping her hair over her shoulder. "Oh, don't be like that. It's just a pool. You weren't even home." Maya stepped forward, her anger bubbling just beneath the surface. "It's not just a pool. It's my pool, my house, my yard. You don't live here. You don't pay for this. So get out, all of you." Someone muttered, "Geez, what's her problem?" And that did it. Without another word, Maya stormed toward the pool equipment box, grabbed the remote, and, click, the pool filter shut off. Then, she yanked the power cord to the speakers. Silence. People were finally paying attention. Maya crossed her arms. "I'm calling the police." That got them moving. Drinks were snatched up. Towels were hastily wrapped around wet bodies. In a matter of minutes, her yard was emptying out, but not before Lisa had the audacity to roll her eyes on the way out. "You don't have to be so uptight," she muttered. Nobody was hurting anything. Maya wanted to scream. Instead, she stood stone-faced, watching as they shuffled out like nothing had happened. Once the last person was gone, she slammed the gate shut, locked it, and stood there, hands on her hips, fuming. But she knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. Maya had tried reasoning. She had tried being patient. She had even installed security cameras, hoping that the threat of being caught on video would be enough to deter her freeloading neighbors. But clearly, it wasn't. The fact that they had brazenly broken into her yard while she was gone, thrown an entire party, and then acted like she was the problem told her everything she needed to know. These people had zero respect for her. And if respect wasn't going to stop them, then fear would. The very next morning, Maya drove to the hardware store with one mission in mind, making sure her backyard was impenetrable. She picked out heavy-duty locks, the kind used for industrial gates, anti-cut, anti-pick, reinforced steel. There would be no more flimsy padlocks that could be jimmied open with a little determination. Then, she grabbed a second lock for the pool equipment box. She had learned her lesson. If they were bold enough to throw their own party in her yard, she wouldn't put it past them to turn her pool filter back on the next time they wanted to sneak in. When she got home, she wasted no time installing everything. As she stood back, admiring her work, she smirked. "Let's see them try now." But she wasn't done yet. Maya had heard of a little trick used in public pools, a harmless but highly effective chemical that reacted to urine by turning the water a bright, unmistakable green. It wasn't dangerous, it wasn't toxic, but it was humiliating. So she ordered it online, along with a few other supplies to complete her plan. If anyone was stupid enough to sneak back into her pool, they wouldn't just be caught, they'd be exposed. Maya knew that fear of consequences was often more powerful than the consequences themselves. So she decided to take things one step further. She went to a local sign shop and had a custom pool sign made, making sure the design was official looking, like something you'd see at a public facility. The sign read, "Revolving light warning, revolving light. Pool chemically treated for unauthorized use. Exposure may cause rash, severe itching, or temporary skin discoloration." It was a complete lie, but they didn't know that. To sell the illusion, she placed an empty hazardous chemical container next to the pool pump. It was an old, industrial-sized chlorine bucket that she had gotten from a friend who worked in maintenance. The label was faded, but the biohazard symbols were still visible. Maya smiled to herself. She had tried asking nicely. She had tried security measures. Now, she was going to have fun watching them panic. Maya didn't have to wait long. The next afternoon, she was sitting by her window, sipping an iced tea, when she noticed a group of teenagers walking past her fence. Two of them paused, pointing at the new sign. She saw one of them whisper something, his expression shifting to uncertainty as he glanced toward the pool. Then, they noticed the hazardous chemical bucket sitting near the pump. Within seconds, they turned right back around and walked away. Maya grinned. That evening, Maya decided to check Facebook. Sure enough, her scheme was already working. Right there in the neighborhood group, Lisa Monroe had made a post. FYI. Looks like Maya put some kind of weird chemical in her pool. The sign says it can cause rashes and skin problems. Not sure how safe that is. Just a heads up. The comments started rolling in. Right arrow, OMG. What if it leaks into the ground? Right arrow, that doesn't sound legal. Right arrow, why does she care so much? It's just water. Right arrow, serves them right for sneaking into her pool. Maya laughed out loud. They weren't mad because she was lying. They weren't mad because they had been caught. They were mad because they had just realized their free ride was over. Maya thought that would be the end of it. She was wrong. A few days later, there was a knock at her door. It was sharp, impatient, and loud. Maya sighed, already knowing exactly who it was. When she peeked through the peephole, she wasn't surprised to see Lisa Monroe, arms crossed, looking absolutely livid. Here we go. Maya opened the door, keeping her face completely calm. Yes? Lisa wasted no time. We need to talk. Maya raised an eyebrow. Do we? Lisa huffed, stepping closer. Look, I don't know what your problem is, but people are saying you put some kind of dangerous chemicals in your pool. Maya blinked, then smirked. I did. Lisa's jaw clenched. You can't do that. What if a kid touches the water? Maya tilted her head. A kid who breaks into my yard. Lisa faltered for a second before regaining her composure. That's not the point. Maya crossed her arms. It's exactly the point. I told people to stay out. They didn't listen, so I took precautions. Lisa let out a bitter laugh. You're ridiculous. You don't even have kids. That pool is just sitting there, going to waste. Maya's smirk widened. So because I don't have kids, that means my pool is up for public use? Lisa rolled her eyes. Oh, come on. Don't act like. Maya cut her off. No, you come on. Lisa, you and the rest of these people have some nerve. You don't pay my water bill. You don't clean my pool. But you expect to just help yourselves? Lisa's face turned bright red. For the first time, she didn't seem to have a snappy comeback. Instead, she threw her hands in the air. Well, if you weren't so unfriendly, maybe people would actually like you. Maya let out a deep, genuine laugh. That's your problem, Lisa. You think being liked means letting people walk all over you. Lisa opened her mouth, then closed it again. She was seething, but she had nothing left to say. Finally, she shook her head in frustration. You know what? Forget it. She turned on her heel and stomped off. Maya called after her. Enjoy using your own hose this summer. Lisa didn't look back. After that, nobody tried to sneak into Maya's yard again. She never even had to use the motion-activated sprinklers she had installed along the fence. Because no one was dumb enough to test her anymore. The freeloading days were over. And for the first time in months, Maya finally had her peace back. She hadn't needed the police. She hadn't needed a big fight. All she had needed was a little creativity and a well-placed lie. Because at the end of the day, some people don't respect boundaries. Unless you force them to. Maya had expected her plan to work. What she hadn't expected was just how quickly it would take effect. By the next afternoon, the neighborhood was buzzing. It started when she spotted a group of kids walking past her house. They were the usual culprits, the same ones she had caught sneaking into her pool before. Normally, they barely hesitated before climbing over fences, cutting through yards, and treating private property like their personal playground. But this time was different. Maya sat by her window, iced coffee in hand, as she watched them stop in their tracks, eyes locked on her new warning sign. One of them, a lanky teenager wearing a baseball cap, stepped forward cautiously. He squinted at the words, reading them aloud under his breath. Pool chemically treated, rash, itching, skin discoloration. He took a small step back. Another kid, shorter, wearing a hoodie despite the heat, nudged him. Dude, Do you think it's real? The kid in the cap glanced at the hazardous chemical container next to the pool pump. His eyes widened. I dunno, man, I'm not gonna risk turning green. And just like that, they turned around and walked right back the way they came. Maya smirked. Later that evening, Maya decided to check Facebook, knowing full well that the gossip mill had likely gone into overdrive. And, sure enough, there it was. Lisa Monroe had posted in the neighborhood group. Lisa Monroe, FYI. Looks like Maya put some kind of weird chemical in her pool. The sign says it can cause rashes and skin problems. Not sure how safe that is. Just a heads up. Within minutes, the comments began flooding in. Right arrow, wait, is that even legal? Right arrow, that doesn't sound safe for pets or kids. Right arrow, good, maybe now people will stop trespassing. Right arrow, honestly, if they weren't breaking in, they wouldn't have to worry. Right arrow, Maya's always been weird. Who even buys a house with a pool if they don't want people to use it? Maya laughed out loud at that last one. Oh, the entitlement. Because, clearly, owning something meant everyone else was entitled to it. Over the next few days, the entire neighborhood seemed to split into two camps. Camp number 1. The people who supported Maya. These were the reasonable people, the ones who understood the basic concept of private property. Some even voiced their frustration with the freeloaders. I'd be furious if people were partying in my backyard without permission. Why do people think they're owed access to someone else's stuff? If you want a pool, get your own. Simple. Camp number 2. The entitled ones. These were the people who didn't like being told, no, the same ones who had never respected boundaries to begin with. It's just a pool. Why does she care so much? I don't see the harm. If she's not using it, why not let others enjoy it? Maya's always been rude. This is just another reason to avoid her. Maya found the whole thing hilarious. Because no one was mad that people had been trespassing. They were just mad that they couldn't get away with it anymore. Despite all the online complaints, no one actually tried sneaking in again. Even Lisa, who had so confidently mocked the whole thing, wasn't dumb enough to risk glowing green in front of the entire neighborhood. Maya knew this because her cameras caught everything, and for the past week. The most exciting thing that had happened was a stray cat wandering through the yard. No more footprints. No more wet towels. No more entitled neighbors acting like she was running a public resort. For the first time in months, Maya felt something she had almost forgotten. Peace. Maya was just about to settle in for a quiet evening when the pounding on her front door shattered the peace. Not a polite knock. Not a hesitant tap. A sharp, demanding series of bangs that made it very clear someone was pissed. Maya exhaled slowly, already knowing exactly who it was. She took her time setting down her drink, stretching her shoulders before strolling over to the door. Peeking through the peephole, she wasn't the least bit surprised to see Lisa Monroe standing there. Arms crossed, face twisted into pure irritation. Maya smiled to herself. Here we go. She pulled the door open just enough to lean against the frame, crossing her arms as she met Lisa's glare with complete indifference. Can I help you? Lisa scoffed, shifting her weight onto one hip. Oh, don't play dumb. Maya, you know why I'm here. Maya raised an eyebrow. Do I? Lisa let out an exasperated huff. The chemicals in your pool. The warning sign. The whole, psychotic little stunt you pulled. Maya's expression didn't change. What about it? Lisa threw her hands in the air. You can't just do that. You made people think they were going to get sick. You scared the hell out of the kids. Maya barely held back a smirk. Good. Lisa's nostrils flared. Excuse me? Maya leaned against the doorframe a little more casually. Good. If they're scared, that means they won't try to break into my yard again. Lisa's mouth opened, then closed. She blinked, as if she hadn't expected Maya to own up to it so easily. So, you admit it? She challenged. You did all of this just to keep people out? Maya didn't hesitate. Of course I did. Lisa shook her head in disbelief, laughing bitterly. You're unbelievable. You don't even use that damn pool. It's just sitting there, empty, while the rest of us are melting in this heat. Maya's face remained blank. And? Lisa gawked at her. And? You're being selfish. Now Maya did laugh. A sharp, genuine, full-bellied laugh that only made Lisa's face turn redder. Selfish? Maya repeated, shaking her head. Let me get this straight. You think I'm selfish because I won't let people break into my yard and use something that I pay for? Lisa crossed her arms tighter. It's just water. Maya, it's not like. Maya held up a hand. Let me ask you something. Lisa, do you have a car? Lisa frowned. What? Of course I do. Right. And when you're not driving it, it just sits in your driveway. Right? Lisa's frown deepened. Yeah? Maya tilted her head. So if I just decided to take your car for a spin without asking, that wouldn't be a problem. Right? I mean, you're not using it all the time. So why should it just sit there while the rest of us are stuck walking? Lisa's face twisted in frustration. That's not the same thing. Maya shrugged. Sure it is. You're mad because I won't let people take something that doesn't belong to them. You think I should just let them use it because they want to. But if I applied that same logic to your car, suddenly it's outrageous. Huh? Lisa's jaw clenched. For the first time, she had nothing to say. Maya smiled sweetly. So tell me, Lisa, is it really me who's selfish? Or is it you? Lisa's hands balled into fists at her sides. Her lips parted, then snapped shut again, as if desperately searching for a comeback and failing miserably. Finally, with a sharp shake of her head, she muttered, You know what? Forget it. She turned on her heel and stormed off, heels clicking angrily against the pavement. Maya called after her, Enjoy using your own hose this summer. Lisa's only response was a middle finger thrown over her shoulder. Maya chuckled. Victory. Lisa never bothered her again. Neither did anyone else. Sure, there were still passive-aggressive comments online, and she definitely got more than a few dirty looks from certain neighbors whenever she passed them on the street. But at the end of the day, nobody dared to test her again. The days of freeloaders lounging in her backyard were over. The nights of coming home to find wet footprints and stolen lounge chairs? Gone. For the first time in months, Maya had exactly what she wanted. Peace. Maya had tried being nice. She had tried reasoning. She had even tried security cameras and locks. None of it worked. Because some people don't respect boundaries unless they're forced to. They'll take as much as you let them. It doesn't matter if it's your time, your space, your energy, or even your damn swimming pool if you don't set boundaries. Someone will walk all over you. Was Maya petty for what she did? Maybe. But was she wrong? Not even a little. Have you ever had to stand your ground when someone tried to take advantage of you? Or better yet, how would you have handled this situation? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. Because at the end of the day, respect isn't given, it's earned. So now that you've heard Maya's story, let's turn the question to you. Have you ever had someone cross the line, ignoring your boundaries like they didn't exist? Maybe it was a neighbor who thought your space was theirs to use. Maybe it was a friend who kept taking without giving back. Or maybe it was a coworker who didn't understand the concept of personal space. How did you handle it? Did you take the high road, letting it slide to keep the peace? Or did you stand your ground, making sure they knew you weren't someone to mess with? And here's the big question, if you were in Maya's position, what would you have done? Would you have called the cops the first time and let them handle it? Put up an even more extreme security system to keep them out? Gone full petty mode, installing a hidden sprinkler system to blast intruders? Or maybe you would have let them use the pool, under your conditions? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell us, what would you have done differently? And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe to Shadow Secrets for more unbelievable stories about real-life betrayals, shocking revenge, and unexpected justice. And if you never want to miss a story, turn on that notification bell. Because remember, boundaries exist for a reason. And sometimes, the only way to make people respect them is to make them regret crossing them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Eyes.